Hey everybody, this is CJ, and no Zach today, but I'm here with you guys from the discussion. No Zach today, did I just say that?
Oh,
yeah.
Zach, you're gone. For the sake of the recording, you have to leave.
I only said to say that in case I didn't get back from my
You know what?
fight.
Don't cancel this. This is gold. Alright, no Josh today, we're leaving.
Yeah. I only
Zach
said don't
is
say
here.
that. I only said don't say that in case I didn't get out of that fight with those EOSM fans.
I was expressing my displeasure.
Yeah.
But anyways, we don't have Josh here today, unfortunately. He is a little tied up in other, situations at the moment, maybe actually involving rope. But anyways, I'm here with you guys from the discussion, everybody else, as well as our full-time cast members now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Say hey, guys.
Hey guys, Nick here.
It's Oscar.
And this is Zach, and I have one thing to say to CJ.
Yes, I'm prepared.
That is why you fail.
It might have just been my computer, but it sounded like you got a little electronic there at the end, so I got an Ultron vibe from you there. And I'm very scared.
Yeah. I'm not really Ultron. Hint, hint.
Not really. No strings on Zach, though.
Yeah.
Anyways, we are here today to talk about all of the comic book shows coming out, and it's kind of funny, because before we actually started the recording, we were sitting here talking about it, and we were like, okay, so we have Arrow coming back, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming back, and then we've got, how many new shows? We've got The Flash, we've got, and then it took us a second, and then we were like, oh yeah, Agent Carter, and Gotham, and Constantine. And so there are just a ton of new shows that are coming out. It's definitely a good time to be a comic book fan. It's a good time to be in that world, especially if you're writing a comic, I guess, because there's a pretty good chance that it's going to be picked up for a TV show. Anyways, lots to cover here. This is going to be a pretty long discussion, I guess. But first, we're going to go ahead and get started with the shows that are returning, and that is Arrow coming back for its third season, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming back for its second season. Big time for both. Guys, any thoughts on the state of comic book TV before we dive into it?
Like, there has been a very sudden comic book TV show boom the last few years or so. Like, it started with Arrow, and then after Arrow, it just boomed up, and it has evolved into dozens of more comic book shows.
It's sort of the television baby boom, if you will.
Yeah,
like comic book shows.
And
like,
go ahead.
Yeah, like before we only got about like one or maybe two comic book shows like a decade or several years apart. But now all of a sudden we have lots of new shows coming, and there are still more of them coming out.
In economic terms, we call this a bubble. When will the bubble burst? We don't know. And it's definitely, there's a comic book world bubble, to be fair. I mean, in terms of just the amount of movies we're getting, as they figured out that they can mine these for some constant hits. Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's pretty cool that all this stuff is happening. Definitely, really excited to see where it's gonna go, and if it'll stick around, if it'll actually last past, one season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk. It's like if you start off slow, you're pretty doomed. TV's a pretty fast industry. Because, I mean, even if your movie, doesn't perform really well, as long as it doesn't do terribly and makes its budget back, you're probably going to get a sequel. But in TV, I mean, shit gets canceled real quick. It's something, I mean, just even good shows get canceled, like Firefly. It's all about the ratings, so it's all about making things sexy and appealing to the young audience, which is my direct tie-in to Arrow. Arrow comes back for its third season. We figured that since it's the oldest running comic book show on television right now, why don't we not named The Walking Dead, why don't we just take a stab at it? And as it is on the show, marketed directly toward 18 to 34-year-old women, as it says directly on the CW website. It's actually kind of surprisingly endeared itself to me, to a lot of guys, not just guys. I don't want to make it sound like it's meant for women. It's definitely action-packed. But it's endeared itself, which kind of surprises me always. I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not the hugest fan of Arrow. You Eat Me Alive. But You know, so I really don't know. I'm always kind of surprised by the success the show has. And now let's start with Nick. You're going to be covering Arrow for us this season. What are your thoughts? Just heading into season 3, cold open.
Season 3, I really want to see because with season 2 they said it was going to be this season of heroes and all that kind of stuff. But season 3 definitely seems like they're definitely branching out with the Atom and stuff like that. Katana's coming. Ra's al Ghul's going to be on the show and all that. I mean, it's crazy.
Firestorm's actually going to be on the show. Robbie Amell, Steven's brother, is going to play. Apparently, I mean, it sounds like they're putting together a TV Justice League with the Flash, Arrow, Firestorm, the Atom, which is actually, I think, how Stephen Amell described it, or someone else described it that way. Anyways, and actually I'm going to post the link to this article in the description. If you'd like to read along with us, there's a great comicbook.com article about just the number of comic shows that are coming, to television and to digital online streaming services like Netflix. Even the PlayStation Network is getting one. So let's stick to Arrow for a second. Season 2 was pretty explosive. Everything that happened with Deathstroke, I'm not going to lie to you, I thought it was a huge step up in quality from the first season. Just the parts of it I watched, and I need to finally catch up with that. But it surprised me at times. It's the amount of heart and effort that they put into it, despite the fact that they don't have the world's biggest budget as they're a CW show. It always has been one of the things that impresses me. So Nick, what is your one goal for the new season? If you could have one dream. Other than Batman showing up.
I want him to finally act like Arrow from the comics, or Green Arrow. Yes. I want them to call him Green Arrow too. I think they will though. I think Amell has hinted at it. So
I'm waiting for the goatee. I want him to shave the stubble and stick with a goatee. But they could definitely be doing something like they've mentioned. Ben McKenzie from Gotham is not going to have his mustache during the show, at least yet. At least not in the first season. They've confirmed that he won't. Because he is not the Jim Gordon that we all know and love. I mean, we'll see. That's the one big knock on it that you'll hear from most comic book fans, I think, is that Ollie isn't really Oliver Queen. He's not quite there yet. It's not a full, not in terms of personality, not really in terms of how he acts as Arrow, not even in the fact that he's even called a Green Arrow. And that leads me to another point, which is, Red Arrow. They're skipping straight over, Speedy, the whole Red Arrow thing, and going straight to Arsenal, which is an interesting choice because it seems like they might, which is kind of funny to me because I would have thought they would have done that transition, just because of there's a lot of drama to be mined from the Green Arrow's sidekick having a heroin addiction, so I don't know.
Well, they technically called him Speedy, I guess, in season 2. Or he called him that a few times.
Short-lived. But, I mean, we'll see. It is still kind of shocking to me that they wouldn't go for that. But, I mean, he still doesn't actually have a metal arm yet either. But it's good to see him getting suited up. And his costume, honestly, looks better to me than Green Arrow's. I like his costume a lot more. The red just goes well with that. Oscar, Zach, any thoughts on Arrow?
I don't watch Arrow, so I'm going to duck.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, okay. Season 2 was a huge improvement from the first season. They stepped up their game a whole lot, and it was awesome up until the very end. And I'm really excited to see my man Roy Harper finally becoming Arsenal in the third season, which I've been looking forward to ever since he came on to the show. And it seems like this show is going to have a lot more of the superhero feel to it. Like, as Nick said, the Atom is coming on, and they have hinted at Wildcat coming on, and a few more other DC characters. So I'm really looking forward to this new season.
Definitely. It seems like they're really, really trying to branch out and trying to fix some of the problems, and I have to give them huge props because it seems like they really are listening to the fans, listening to what the fans want to say, and kind of trying to give the fans what they want, within the bounds of what they can really do as a CW show. And so let's transition now into the other returning show, which is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now that, on the other side of the ball, that is Marvel. And it kind of had, depending on who you talk to, arguably a rougher first season. They didn't really find their pace until after Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So a lot of people, including myself, are maybe beginning to question, how does this show function without something like the Winter Soldier, stepping in to help it? How is it going to be able to, to go? Of course, hopefully you're thinking that after the events of Winter Soldier and the repercussions that had for S.H.I.E.L.D. as a whole, you're kind of hoping that, they maintain that it has long-lasting effects. But, how does that happen? So, Oscar, Zach, any first thoughts on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I'll let Zach have this one first.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, in terms of effects, you got to remember we do have Age of Ultron coming up, so that's obviously going to have some sort of repercussions on the show.
Maybe they'll be fighting Ultron bots.
Yeah, I would hope that at least some Ultron bots get left over, or at least
somebody gets killed by Ultron drones. Although with the reemergence of Hydra as a threat, as we saw in the end of Captain America: Winter Soldier, it really makes you think, like more of the comic book old school Hydra. Like they're not infiltrating people; they're actually just there as like a private force. We could see them butting heads with Hydra leading up to Avengers: Age of Ultron. Especially now that we know that Baron von Strucker is running around in that timeline.
Yeah.
Oscar, any thoughts?
Yeah, like, as many people going into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thought, like, there was going to be lots more superheroes in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that kind of disappointed a lot of people that there weren't any Iron Man, there weren't any Hulk, or any other superhero. But they kind of hinted at more superheroes as the show went on, and they also created a few classic villains that will be returning to season 2. Like, we know that Lizard is coming back, and several others, like Absorbing Man, will probably be in the first episode. And I'm generally excited for this one, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. I think part of the issue that I see is I still feel like they haven't quite found their tone, their style yet. And I say that because we look and they straddle the line between the X-Files, Freak of the Week kind of thing, while also trying to, be like, yep, but we're in the MCU, we're in the same place as Iron Man, and we're S.H.I.E.L.D., look at us. And then they didn't ever really find a great medium, because I feel like you don't just want to make X-Files 2.0, because that would be disappointing with all the stuff they could do with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a concept. But at the same time, you kind of have that to fall back on. So I think the biggest question for them, they're a bigger question mark than Arrow to me. I think Arrow is a pretty solid bet. I don't think Arrow is going anywhere in the near future. I don't think they're going to bomb. I think they found a good formula and they're going to stick with it. But I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one to watch, because if it starts out slow again, we could see, worst case scenario, we could see an early cancellation, to be honest with you. I don't think it'll happen. I think Marvel's got an incredible amount of pull, and I think they'd still be able to force it through, but if the ratings are still not there, we might have an issue. So anyways, with that somber note, very sad, let's stay in the Marvel sphere. Let's jump right into Agent Carter. Agent Carter is one that kind of has slipped my memory, because in recent months, the only thing that I've seen from it is the one, screenshot. And I'm a little worried. I feel like they haven't done quite enough to set it up. I feel like a lot of people might not even know that it's on. So I'm a little worried about that. Anybody have any thoughts on Agent Carter?
Yeah, other than the only thing I know about Agent Carter currently is that we're going to have Dum Dum Dugan and that Fresno guy in I think they're going to be in some sort of flashback in the first 1 or 2 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then at some point, Agent Carter is going to premiere, I think, next year, if I'm correct.
It's January 2015, so there's a little bit there. And that could be a smart move by Marvel. It premieres during the Season 2 mid-break of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it could be just a way to hedge their bets. But arguably, you've got a little bit of a little bit more star power behind Agents of Carter than you do behind Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went the route of casting many unknowns. the most famous person in that cast was, Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, and the second most famous person was Ming-Na Wen, who most people only know from playing Mulan. But I mean, you look at Agent Carter, and you've got Haley Atwell, maybe more importantly, Dominic Cooper, and then some people like Chad Michael Murray and James D'Arcy as Edwin Jarvis. So maybe a few more, a few better known actors there. So that sets it up. I'm gonna say if nobody else has any thoughts, since it doesn't come out till January, let's pump the brakes on Agent Carter and jump into the Flash, because that's one that a lot of people have opinions on. I know. Anybody, any thoughts on Agent Carter?
I'm not really hyped for it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it, but I don't really have much left to say about it.
It came out of left field. I think a lot of people will be willing to admit that it doesn't seem like it was. A lot of people did not expect that to be the next show that they would have on. I think. I mean, I know there was the Agent Carter one shot is one of the most popular, one of the most well known one shots that they've made yet so far over there at Marvel, and I think this is just a direct response to that. But who knows? I'm on the fence. I want to see if they do some marketing. I think they definitely have to.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a sort of a low-tech version of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., sort of like a James Bond type of feel. This is going to probably be the early incarnation of S.H.I.E.L.D. And we're probably going to see how S.H.I.E.L.D. became the S.H.I.E.L.D. that it became in the Winter Soldier. And I hope that they will have some sort of a time skip in between seasons, like the first season probably takes place in the 40s, the second season in the 50s, or something like that.
I agree with you there. I'd like to see them do that. And to me, it'd be perfect. Go ahead.
And also, I want to see them hint Winter Soldier in the show.
Yes, please. Maybe just have some Winter Soldier run-ins. But I definitely think that if they can capture that James Bond feel, that would be perfect for them. It's a niche genre, but it's something that a lot of people, that's not often seen on the air. There aren't a lot of great shows in that old-timey spy category. Really, the only one that I can think of is, and this is going to be so out of left field, the BBC show Ian Fleming, The Man Who Would Be Bond, or something. That's a rough title. Don't quote me on it. But that's actually Dominic Cooper. So he's just jumping from one 1940s spy show to another. Anyways, let's move on to one that's much talked about, very, very, very anticipated by some, very cautious for others. That's The Flash, another show that a lot of people were very, very on the fence about. I myself am still a little bit on the fence about it, but the pilot was awesome. So
we all quote unquote saw it.
Yes, I can't tell you how I know that it's awesome, but it's awesome. And if you can find it, go check it out. But after the pilot, I'm excited for it, but I'd like to see what they do with it. I'd like to see how they keep it up. It's definitely not taking the tone that I thought it would. And it looks like it'll actually be the Flash. It won't be sort of a bastardized version of the Flash. It looks like he'll be pretty true to form. So just feel free to jump in with your comments.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Flash because it's going to have a lot more comic booky lightheartedness to it than Arrow does, which is kind of why I avoided Arrow for so long, because I just got really sick and tired of all the dark and gritty stuff. I mean, we had it with Nolan's Batman trilogy, and we had it with Man of Steel a bit, so I just want some damn color in my shows, guys.
Flash looks pretty bright.
But is Arrow even all that dark and gritty? Like, I don't...
It kind of is.
Whenever I watch it, it's not really, like... Definitely not to that level.
It straddles the line between camp and dark and grit.
It doesn't even have a gray filter. Like, it actually has color. It has real lighting and color.
I mean, that's one thing I will say about it. They don't have gray filters.
But the interesting thing to me is the fact that it just seems like we're not getting the Ollie from the comics, which is the charismatic, the quippy one-liners, because Green Arrow is essentially the Justice League equivalent of Tony Stark, just in terms of personality, minus maybe the alcoholism. But and that's one thing that a lot of people were worried about with the Flash. Is it's the CW show, it's the same universe. Are they going to kind of take some of the humor out of the character and take some of that charisma and try to make it very serious? or what are we going to see? And it seems like from the pilot, at the very least, it doesn't seem like they're going that route, and that was very pleasing to me. Oscar, any thoughts?
Yeah. In the beginning, when I first heard, like you said, when they were going to do Flash, I was like, is it going to be like Arrow? Is it going to be like dark and gritty? But then when I heard that John Wesley Shipp was going to be on the show, the original Flash from the 90s series, I was on.
Oh,
they
dear.
had me hooked from that moment on. And the more I've heard about the show, the more excited I am for it, because not only will John Wesley Shipp return to the Flash universe, but he will also be joined by his fellow co-star from the original Flash TV show. I think her name was Amanda something. She played a doctor from Star Labs in that show.
Yeah.
And they really cast some awesome actors for the Flash TV show, especially when it comes to the rogues. We have several actors from Prison Break coming on and joining the Flash.
It seems like they really are setting up it's a Prison Break reunion. It seems like the Rogues Gallery is being much more, very, very well established for the Flash, and I think that'll give it a really good chance to succeed.
Oh yeah.
But it really is interesting. Some of the casting, I guess, was very controversial. It looks like they're setting up for the Black Wally West, which I'm okay with it. And they're setting up with the Black Iris West, and so they're also going to have a Hispanic character playing Vibe, I believe.
Yeah.
And that'll be pretty interesting to me. It'll be pretty interesting to see how they balance out the diversity to make sure that it doesn't feel like shoehorned in. But yeah, the John Wesley Shipp thing is hilarious. I had not heard that, and that is fantastic.
Yeah, he's gonna play Barry Allen's dad.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping in the early stage when I heard that he was cast that he was gonna play Jay Garrick, but this is perfect.
Jay Garrick would have been cool.
Yeah.
And who knows, we might see something like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, Nick, any thoughts on the Flash?
It's gonna be awesome. Gorilla Grodd confirmed.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
What? I can't believe it. I'm sold. This is going to be, and it's very much surprising to a lot of us, because I think a lot of us were expecting an Arrow clone, but it doesn't seem like they're taking that sort of route with it. They're preferring the more or less comic booky tone to it, and I think that'll be a nice contrast, especially when they do crossover stuff. And it seems like they will do crossover stuff.
Yeah, you mean technically he was quote-unquote confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But something I really hope for is I hope that they will capture the unique chemistry and dynamic that the Rogues have with the Flash. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean they like we mentioned before, they got the right actress for it. Dominic Purcell was just recently cast. And the
you went out.
Oh,
yeah.
CJ.
I did.
Yeah,
Right,
you went blank.
I should be back. Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
All right. Dominic Purcell, we know was cast, and the other Prison Break dude, whose name escapes me, was cast as Captain Cold. So it definitely looks like they're setting up the Rogues Gallery early on. Strong villains should not be a problem for that show. Moving on to another one that a lot of people were on the fence about when it was, reported, and a lot of people were on the fence about before the pilot leaked. Constantine, one that has been very much under the radar. I think I haven't seen that many commercials for it, and that one is very much a question mark to me as to how they'll balance that. I can't believe it's going to be on NBC. To me, just watching the pilot and stuff, it kind of did not feel like a typical Constantine typical, network television show. So that'll be interesting to see what kind of viewership they get. It seems like NBC might be trying to find some way to match the success of, fantasy horror with Sleepy Hollow that Fox has.
Or Supernatural with CW.
Yeah. CW does have Supernatural. They're trying to cash in on that fantasy stuff. But there's a huge world for them to explore there. So Nick, do you have any thoughts on Constantine?
Well, personally, I didn't really like the pilot all that much, but maybe it's because I didn't finish it. Like, I got halfway through and just got bored and shut it off, but, I'll give the show another try because I think my, least favorite aspect of it was, the subplot with the girl, but she's, off the show now, so maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, I heard they cut her out.
I think they're listening to the fans, I think, because that was widely, believed as probably the least popular thing. So it looks like it's just going to be a brief, maybe just, an appearance. But it's really weird. I think Constantine is just another one where I wouldn't have expected it to end up on NBC, and it's kind of weird how the networks are handling the superhero influx, because we see DC has shows on CW, Fox, and NBC, whereas Marvel has its shows on ABC and Netflix, and has Powers coming to the PlayStation Network of all places. So it just they're all over the place. I'm on the fence about that one. I need to find out when that airs, actually. Just bear with me for a sec. Somebody say something while I'm looking this up.
I am Groot.
There you go.
And also Supergirl coming to CBS and TNT.
Yes, we're going to talk about that in a minute. First episode, wow. The first episode date for Constantine, October 24th, 2014. Trying to get into that Halloween vibe, so there's still a while to go on that one. I think the early reviews for the pilot came out and were generally, positive. It's not great. It seems good.
Just go read the Hellblazer comics. They're better.
Yeah. It's funny that they reference Hellblazer. Like, NBC's website references, it's like, from the, acclaimed DC series Hellblazer.
Oh, Vertigo comics.
And they talk about it. Yeah. Or acclaimed Vertigo series Hellblazer. My apologies. It seems they're definitely emphasizing the comic tie-in, which is another thing to look at when we talk about how these are very popular.
They're better than the show.
Anyways, and with that, I think we've covered most of the ones that are coming to TV this fall. Anything else we haven't talked about Gotham yet.
Yeah,
Holy
Gotham.
crap.
Gotham's a few days away.
Well, actually, we shouldn't.
Gotham is
Let's
tomorrow.
just skip that one. Is that?
No.
In a shocking turn of events, Nick, explain to the people why you aren't excited about Gotham.
Yes, peace and light.
I am not excited. All right. When they first talked about doing a Gotham show, they're like, all right, it's gonna be about the Gotham PD and Jim Gordon and all that. And then they're like, no, we're gonna make it about the death of the Waynes now. And then we're gonna bring in all these villains, and then we're gonna do that. And it's like, okay, it just escaped. Originally I would have been on board with it because Ed Brubaker did a really good series called Gotham Central, and it had nothing to do with Batman and all that. It was just about the cops, which was really good. But I don't know.
Batman, you're negative 25.
Yeah.
It seems like it'll be I am on the fence. I feel like on the one hand, it seems like the most polished and probably the most, in terms of production value, the maybe if we're ranking them by production value, I might have to give Gotham the edge over the other shows just because visually it seems very nice and the camera work seems, incredible for a network show. But I feel like they're falling into the Smallville trap, which was let's have all of the villains show up way before they should. It's like, that's why one of my biggest issues is Smallville. Great show for the most part. But it's like when you have Superman facing Darkseid when he's a teenager, that takes some of the dramatic element out of him facing Darkseid as Superman in the stories that we know, because he doesn't know about Darkseid, and yet now he knows about Darkseid.
Or Doomsday.
Or Doomsday is the bigger
fight.
one. That was just awful. But it makes sense if they were going to stick to Lex Luthor, but this isn't about Smallville, and so it would make sense to me if you're going to, introduce some characters, but I don't think every week can have something to do with one of the it's like this week in the 20 years before Batman. It's like we're gonna see, you know, this week is about Poison Ivy. She's a baby, she's in a cradle, and she's like just created Venus flytraps that ate her parents. We can't do that. We can't, you know, venture into that line. Some people have to be around when Batman shows up. So I think I would have liked it a lot more if they were going to stick to the story, and I would like it a lot more if they just stick to the gang war that it seems like they're setting up for. You know, with Fish Mooney. And mark my words, I've been waiting for this podcast to say this. Mark my words, when the Penguin, who apparently works for Fish Mooney, when he finally takes over and kills her, he will say some cheesy ass line like "penguins eat fish." He will say "penguins eat fish" or
he'll
"penguins
say,
hunt fish."
"Let me show you my flipper trick."
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
deal with it. But that is exactly the kind of thing they're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hate it if they did a pun like every episode. That is the fear that most people have about this show, that they will make jokes or like some pointer at, oh, this is gonna happen to you in the future.
Yeah.
Like, we saw that in one of the trailers where the Penguin gets picked up by this couple of dudes and they see that he has a limp and they say to him, hey, has anybody ever told you that you walk like a penguin?
They're gonna pull an X-Men 1 and be like, do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
The same as that happens to everybody else. I can't deal with it, and I won't be able to deal with it. But that is one of those. The other thing that I'm kind of, I can see why they're not doing it, but it'll be strange for a lot of people. I think no mustache on Gordon, at least not for a while. According to Ben McKenzie, he says that he hasn't earned the wisdom yet, or something like that. Or actually, more accurately, I think he said that the directors told him, or the producers told him, that a mustache would look ridiculous on him. So, which begs the question: why did you cast him as Gordon?
Yeah, why not get like a ginger guy that looks like
Exactly.
Gordon?
Or give him like a fake mustache.
I can't deal with it. There you go. But
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
stupid though. That he's saying that he
Yep.
doesn't have the wisdom because in Batman Year One, Gordon was like 28 or something, or like he was like Bruce's age and he had a mustache. No.
We'll see. Nick is just not happy. I think, honestly, if I had to place bets, I think Gotham is going to do the best out of any superhero show this year. I think The Flash will probably, you know, because it seems like Matt Hawkins, president of Top Cow Comics, a guy we like here at the Hybrid Network, he had a pretty good take on it, where he said he's got high expectations for Gotham and low expectations for The Flash, which means that he's going to be underwhelmed by Gotham and be really fucking hyped about The Flash. That's not a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing. But it kind of, I think that's how it's going to end up for most people. I think Flash is under the radar. People are going to end up liking it a lot more than they think. I think Gotham is way up in people's faces, and it's really, people have got high hopes for it. And I think they'll probably be a little bit disappointed. I am excited though, so we'll see
it's
tomorrow.
actually like I'm actually pretty impressed by the marketing though, because I was driving around like in my town here, and they have bus stops with like the Flash posters, and they have like billboards for Gotham. It's crazy. I'm like, wow.
Superhero shows be out here. Anyways, now comes the part of this little episode of the discussion where we talk about the shows that have recently been confirmed. And this is the part where the article that I'm posting a link to in the description comes very, 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 into play. And so they've got a good list of Marvel and DC comics, that are coming to television, very soon. And this is not even the most recent list, since it's now been confirmed that Supergirl was picked up. But so Marvel's got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2 coming this fall, and Agent Carter. But we're not going to talk about those. But what they do have coming down the pipe is Powers coming to the PlayStation Network, really interesting, and we will talk about that. And the Netflix series is with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all culminating in the Defenders. And those will probably come out at some point next year, I believe. And then on the DC side, not only do we have Arrow, Gotham, and The Flash, and Constantine, we have iZombie, Preacher, Hourman, DMZ, Scalped, the Teen Titans show that's coming to TNT, and Lucifer, which apparently is getting a pilot. So all in all, we could have, at one time, 19 comic book shows floating out there, granted the fact that, 5 of those are the Netflix Marvel miniseries. But it's it's still, I think, a valid point. It's like if all of these shows continue, which is not likely, seeing as, that's the way TV works, is things get picked up and then things get dropped. We could have a very high number of, comic book shows out there. So, guys, let's talk about a couple of these. Is there anyone in particular you guys want to talk about, or?
Maybe Daredevil, because they've been releasing a lot of Daredevil stuff lately.
I think that is the one that's filming right now. I don't think they've started. They haven't even cast Luke Cage. But they seem to be farther along with Luke Cage than any of the other ones. So if I had to guess, I think it's going to go Daredevil, Luke Cage, then maybe Jessica Jones, and finishing up with Iron Fist. But we'll see. I think, the one that kind of, the couple that stand out to me, first is Powers, coming to the PlayStation Network. And then also we've got, something like Scalped and Preacher and the Teen Titans coming to TNT that have all been in the news, and Supergirl as well. So let's just talk about Supergirl for a little bit. Another show in the Greg Berlanti-verse.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a crossover?
Since it's on CW, and CW technically is also owned by Warner Brothers like CBS is there a possibility that Supergirl could, cross over into, Flash or Arrow?
I think it has the highest chance to, yeah.
It definitely does, because I think the production value on that is probably going to be higher, just by the nature that it's a network show. And really, CBS could use a win.
Yeah, which is weird, because back in the day, CBS wanted to move away from being the superhero network, back when they had, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, and Hulk. And Hulk was the only one that survived in the end.
Yep, and it's interesting. I think that was a bad decision by them, but it happened at the time, and in that time period, it was sort of the comics were on the downhill, and they kind of did end up almost in the gutter in the 90s, and now they've re-risen to their former glory, or I guess maybe even new glory.
Anyone remember Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
Great show.
I forgot that was a thing.
Anyways, I think probably the ones that I'm most excited for are Supergirl, and it's still at such an early stage. We don't really know anything. The last thing I heard was, you guys were talking about this actually, she's going to be 24, I think.
Yeah, we're going to have Superman show up too. Cavill's been reported, confirmed.
I like it. Are we going to get Henry Cavill? Or Henry Cavill or some other Superman? Or is it going to be a cheap out where it's the back of Henry Cavill's head and it's not actually him, and then we get him in a voiceover dub and that's all we see?
I would love it if it was the guy who played Superman in Smallville. If it was
Tom
him.
Welling.
Yeah,
interesting.
Tom Welling.
I don't think he's done a lot since the end of Smallville.
Yeah, where is he, by the way?
He's living in his mansion, living off of all the Smallville money that he made.
It's like Frankie Muniz.
Oh, right.
But he's now the drummer for this band. But anyways, other ones that stand out, like I said, Teen Titans. That was another one that had been, actually it's kind of funny how fast that moved. It's suddenly it's oh, we might be getting a Teen Titans show, and then literally
the next
within the
day,
hour
it's
hey, it's been picked up by TNT.
Yeah.
So that was clearly played very close to the chest by Warner Brothers, but it could have been one of those things that rapidly developed. And that's not really a bad idea either. That's another one that I'm kind of shocked is not going to be on the CW, because I feel like Teen Titans would be the perfect fodder for them. It falls very much into the realm of what Arrow likes to do. So anyways, I could see lots of stuff coming out there. I guess it's going to center on Dick Grayson as the leader of the team, which I am hugely a fan of. Any thoughts on the Teen Titans show?
I think it's going to be interesting, to say the least, because up until this point, we've only had the animated Teen Titans series, so it's going to be very interesting to see a live-action Teen Titans TV show.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go does not count.
No, it does not.
Yeah, I think but there are still a few things that I'm a bit iffy about, since Deathstroke is the primary or the most well-recognized Teen Titans villains of all time, but he belongs to the CW, or they've just used him in Arrow. Are they still going to be able to use him in the TNT Teen Titans TV show?
And that brings up, I think, a larger question of, what are they going to do as far as, the members of the Teen Titans? Because a lot of us think of, Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy just because of the animated series. Are we going to see that, or are we going to maybe see, a more comic book Teen Titans lineup, which was, a lot more members than
Yeah.
just those 5.
Yeah, like there was Robin, Beast Boy, Raven, Starfire, Cyborg, Kid Flash, Speedy, and I think Aqualad was on the original team.
Yeah. So it's like, especially, they kind of have whittled down the team in the New 52, which might be what they go with. But then again, that would really, really shock me if they, because the New 52 Teen Titans is literally like a CW show. That's like, but not even to the quality of Arrow. It's like Vampire Diaries level, is how much I dislike the New 52 Teen Titans. But that'll be interesting to see how it develops, especially on TNT. Really big production value, if I had to guess. Maybe even more than like a network series.
On CW though, because that would have been really cool to see Nightwing and Arrow and all that.
And I think that would have been, if I had to bet, I think the folks over at Arrow are probably like cursing WB in a way. Because I feel like, you probably can't get Batman on Arrow, but you could get Nightwing. So we might even see Red Hood show up in Arrow at some point. But that'll be interesting to see how they do it.
Red
it'll be
Hood
really
Outlaws
interesting.
spin-off with Arsenal.
They could do that. I would be really interested to see that. That could be another part of the Berlantiverse.
Yeah.
But Teen Titans, shocking.
Like the Outlaws or something like that.
Yeah.
But a better version of the Outlaws than in the comics.
Fingers crossed. And, looking at the more artsy and critically acclaimed series, we have Preacher and Scalped that are eventually going to be coming up. I believe Scalped is going to be on AMC. So, like, in terms of production value and quality, that should be through the roof.
Yeah, that'll be like Breaking Bad level.
We'll see. But it's a...
there's actually one we missed. There was a Ronin miniseries that got picked up by Sci-Fi. It's in production right now. But, yeah, it's based on Frank Miller's, like, miniseries, Ronin.
Ooh, I like that.
So this will be like a 6-episode thing. It's gonna be cool.
I'm waiting for Holy Terror Batman to show up.
Yeah, dude, I still want that to happen.
No.
Very, very, very controversial.
That's going to piss off a lot of people.
It's, at the time with ISIS, but that could be a little bit rubbing people the wrong way.
I heard there's a Why the Last Man show somewhere too, like around.
I think there was a Why the Last Man movie in development for a long time, and it seems like it's still in development hell.
I heard Six Guns was going to get a comic book show and another one called, I think it was Eat or something like that. Bite. Something like
Chew?
Chew.
Yeah, by Image. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I was wrong. It's WGN America is going to develop the Scalped. Preacher is going to be on AMC, if I remember correctly. But yeah, WGN, I don't know what they do other than air Cubs games. But, Preacher, let me make sure that I have this correctly. It's a film adaptation, I suppose. Nope, there is television. It is AMC. They're shooting a pilot for Preacher. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg behind it. It's going to be distributed by Sony Pictures Television. And they've been working on that for most of the year. Son of a Preacher Man is going to be the theme song, but it's going to premiere, I guess, next fall, AMC. The script for the series is complete. So now they just need to cast and shoot and all that goodness. And so, any thoughts on any other series that have already been ordered before we move on to the fun little bit at the end? You kind of had a nice harmony there.
I want to see Brainiac on Supergirl. That'd be pretty awesome.
That actually would be awesome,
but
especially if they don't have any plans to use that. If they have plans to use him in the DCU, we probably won't see that. But if they don't, then.
But it would be a good villain to use because like the whole Kandor thing and all that.
I think Kandor is probably something we'll see, but in terms of scope, you got to have the production value to get Brainiac off the ground because there's just so much you can do with him, and I'd rather he not just be like a computer virus. It's like, oh no, he's taken over the City's Power Grid. Well, the City's Power Grid would actually be a pretty good, maybe small scale, but anyways, the fun bit at the end.
Yes.
Where we ask, Oscar actually suggested this. High five, Oscar.
Yeah.
But looking forward, because we've already got, dozens upon dozens of superhero shows that are coming out. But even though we have dozens upon dozens of superhero shows, we very clearly have so many characters that are deserving, or so many characters that could easily be turned into multimedia series. Which superhero would you like to see? And we'll make this our comment
Batman.
question. Which Matt Bomer is? No. We'll make this our comment section question for the day. What superhero would you like to see a series out of? And if it's already being made into a series, which series is it? However, but what superhero would you guys like to see, get their own series, or mini-series, or TV movie even, that has not even been approached yet and has not been ordered or pitched? And Oscar, since you suggested it, let's start with you.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to see the Man-Thing get made for either a Netflix series or a made-for-TV movie. Or, hell, why not do the second season, probably, of the Netflix shows that deals a lot more with the more supernatural characters of the Marvel Universe, because we haven't really, dived into the supernatural element yet.
I'm going to predict, I think we're going to get either a Netflix mini-series on Man-Thing, or we're probably going to get maybe an ABC TV movie that'll maybe take place, somewhere, when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter are not, on. But Man-Thing is something that they've actually teased in the MCU.
They've teased Man-Thing
Ellen Brandt
a few times in the MCU. Like his wife.
Yep, she was in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, and they teased him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep. What the hell is a Man-Thing? Yeah.
Well, that is the question.
Exactly. So Nick, other than Batman, you can say Batman if you'd like. But...
I'm trying to think. I'd like to see a Miles Morales TV show, Spider-Man.
Ooh.
And
not what I expect.
If Judge Dredd never makes it to the big screen, I'd like to see a show on Judge Dredd. That'd be pretty awesome.
I feel like that could be an AMC thing. AMC, make it happen.
No, HBO. Go full out.
HBO, make it happen.
Yeah.
I want to see some titties.
No, I want to see heads explode.
Kaboom. I mean, AMC does a pretty good job of bringing the gore to The Walking Dead.
And Breaking Bad, too.
Damn.
Keep bringing up Breaking Bad, but yeah, they did, actually.
I love it. Underrated show. And actually, for all of you Doctor Who fans, and Breaking Bad fans, the spin-off of Broadchurch, Grace Point, is coming with both David Tennant playing the main character again, and Skylar White playing his partner.
Yeah.
In non-superhero related news.
I love Broadchurch, so I'm actually really excited for
it. Actually was really good. I was kind of shocked the lengths to which they're keeping it the same for American television.
I know, I watched it all in one day.
Yeah, no, but I watched the trailers for it are hilarious because they make it like it is literally pretty much exactly like a shot-for-shot remake of the British version. Yeah. Just let's cast some American actors and make David Tennant do an American accent. But Zach, interesting points from Oscar and Nick. I believe Oscar had wanted a... Oscar, remind me of which character you wanted.
Man-Thing.
Man-Thing. That is right. It was so out of left field that I just went right by me. Nick wanted Miles Morales or Judge Dredd. Zach, if you could have one miniseries, one TV show, one any kind of series, which character would it be?
It's going to be Spider-Man Noir.
Spider-Man Noir. I can.
Yeah, because I don't think if I've mentioned this before, but I like period piece shows and like movies and such. And I personally think a Spider-Man Noir show would work. Because so far we've had like 2 other miniseries of it, and we just recently got it in Edge of Spider-Verse, so it's pretty easy. I think they could easily pull it off if Sony wasn't behind it.
Boardwalk Empire Spider-Man Edition.
Yeah. Basically.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Wait a minute. We were just complaining about Arrow being dark and gritty, but Spider-Man Noir, it's really dark and gritty.
Well, at least Spider-Man Noir is very serious already. Arrow, at least, Ollie Queen is not the super serious guy that he is in the show, and I'd like to see him become that. But
actually, there
sometimes.
has been. So when they redid Green Arrow comics, the Longbow Hunters, that was like a pretty gritty like comic in 1987. That was like the Dark Knight Returns of Green Arrow.
Very nice. I was trying to guess which characters that you guys would say that I never really came up with one of my own. Let me think for a second.
I'd like to see a Wildcat show too, like Jim Lee, like Image Wildcats. Griffin.
Oh, I would so love if they did the Phantom for a TV show.
Yeah. You know what I want? I'll stick with Zach. I'm going to align with Zach here. I want period piece. I want the original Human Torch, and maybe Namor. The original Human Torch and Namor, straight out of the Marvel's graphic novel.
Why not do like an Invaders 1602 TV show?
I can't do Invaders because of Captain America already having a movie. But that would be so badass. I can't even. It'd be like a period piece, but at the same time, superheroes.
Yeah.
Jim Hammond. Oh well. That's. I will admit, I was trying to come up with something.
When is the Punisher going to get his own
field.
TV show?
Actually, can I take it back? I had an idea for a Punisher thing, and I would like to. I want a Punisher miniseries. I feel like that could
John Hamm or Riot.
Be an AMC thing. John Hamm or Riot is right. I can dig it. If John Hamm doesn't end up playing Cable, I think that would be perfect.
That was Scott Lang for Cable.
I like that too. Anyways, all right. I think that about wraps it up. Before we talk about more nonsense.
All right, now it's time for Batman v Superman. So, that Batmobile, guys.
It actually looks super cool. Anyways, we're gonna do that on our own time. I guess that wraps it up here for us. So This is CJ.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Oscar.
And I'm Zach.
Yes. We did it.
We got it right this time.
All right. And we will see you next time.
Later.